I just want to see a follow.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Physical Services Committee for Tuesday, May 27th, 2025. And I'd ask you to please silence your cell phones and electronic devices. For those listening, a copy of the agenda for this meeting can be found on the county website under the tab for the legislature. And at this time, I'd ask you to please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Ben,
Here.
Benelli. Present. Menuda.
Here.
You.
Here.
Miskevich.
Here.
Hotel. Here. Dewey.
Here. Here.
Present.
Thank you. All right. First on our agenda is from Planning, Commissioner Alan Sorensen. And our first motion is request approval for the Orange County Legislature to assume lead agency status under State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker with the determination of non-significance negative declaration with respect to the 2025 Comprehensive Plan update, along with the repeal and replacement of Supplemental Chapter 1, 2004 Open Space Plan with a new Supplemental Chapter 1, 2025 Open Space Plan. It's legislative request number 135. Could I get a motion?
Second.
Legislator Menuda, Legislator Benton. Majority of your Ben, I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. By now, you've received the full environmental assessment form parts 1, 2, and 3, as well as the update of the core document for the 2025 comprehensive plan, along with a new supplemental chapter 1, which is the open space plan update. We're asking for the legislature's adopting the updates of the comprehensive plan following the public hearing and seeker determination. The open space plan is written in such a way that it also is further evidence of the seeker documentation. So it's written where there's, for each of the sections, there is narrative describing why the adoption of the open space plan would not have an adverse impact on the environment. So it's really part of the part 3 of the environmental assessment form, the document itself. And one of the highlights, I guess, from the open space plan is we've added a sector that's addressed in the open space, which is forest lands. New York State has a long history of having a forestry management program, and this open space plan recognizes that and supports participation in the state's open forestry management program. With that, I guess, if there are any questions?
Questions or comments? Other legislators? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
All right, next we have request that the Orange County Legislature assume lead agency status on an uncoordinated review in compliance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker based on the review of part 1, 2, and 3 of the short environmental assessment form, SEAF, along with a negative declaration of this unlisted action with regard to a request to apply for a FTA grant, the New York State Department of Transportation match, and the local match to purchase 10 cutaway buses. Legislative request number 163. Can I get a motion? Second.
So moved.
Second.
Legislator Fontel. Already Leader Perdue. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. So this request is for the purchase of replacement buses. 7 of these will be paratransit. And for the paratransit buses, the county provides the the local share, which is 10% of the funding. And then the three other buses that are listed in this resolution are for dial-a-ride service. And with the dial-a-ride, those are typically municipally run, those are municipally run dial-a-ride services. The local municipality provides the local share for those buses. So if you look, typically the match, it's typically an 80, 10, 10, 80 federal percent, 80 federal, 10% state, 10% local. The overall match for the county for the $1,454,451 to purchase these buses is actually less than 10% because three of the buses, the local share is being picked up by the municipality.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments, Legislator Tui?
Yeah, do we know which municipalities are yet or?
For this particular one, it's actually the town of Warwick for their dial-a-ride service. So the buses all have a scheduled useful life, and when they exceed that useful life, we have a revolving replacement schedule. So
I thought you said there was 10 dial buses.
Three.
There are 10 cutaways. 3 will be allocated for the Warwick dial-a-ride service, and the other are for the county's paratransit services. Yeah.
Thank you, Chairman.
Any other questions? Majority Leader Ben.
Yeah. Cutaway is a new term for me. What's a cutaway bus?
It is trying to describe it. They're smaller buses. They almost look like the front almost looks like a. They almost look like a. I want to say like a U-Haul,
Like a van.
Like an RV?
like an RV. And then it's the second half of it is where the passenger unit is. So the part of that's kind of what a cutaway is.
Okay, so basically it's a front like with a driver and passenger seat and then the sliding door in the back for the passengers to get in only that way?
It opens up and the passengers can get in.
Okay.
It's just a term of art that they use in the bus industry.
Okay,
So-
I'll look it up.
And the para have,
The
it's
par-
ADA, of course.
Yes, yeah, all of these are ADA compliant buses.
Legislator Menuda.
I'm sorry, server's down, so are they are these electric or are they gas or diesel?
These will be diesel buses, clean diesel.
Okay. Is there a regulation for that to meet or no?
Oh, yeah,
For the EV portion of it?
we're not under a mandate at this time.
Sure.
And the technology is still being vetted. So we have a sister agency that has moved in direction of electric buses. They're currently working through some of the bugs in the system, so they've had a lot of downtime. I think as the technology evolves, we'll see where we are, but we've kind of been very prudent in our approach. The diesel buses that are meet all the current standards, very efficient. And there's other technologies that are, on the horizon, such as hydrogen, so we're always mindful of that. But yeah, these buses are replaceable diesel buses.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Minority Leader.
Thank you. You said 10 buses, then you only mentioned 3 and 1.
No,
Seven.
7 are paratransit.
Yeah, right, but what does that mean for everybody? Paratransit is,
Handicap accessible.
I know that, but
That's
you said there's 10 buses.
Yes.
7 of them are going to Warwick and the other?
No.
3 for
3 are going to Warwick.
Yeah.
Those are done. They're all the same bus. They're
I got you,
cutaways.
okay. And then where are the other 7 going?
Those are part of the county's paratransit service.
Oh, so the counties have them,
Yes.
they're not for municipalities.
Yeah, we contract with a vendor to provide that paratransit
Thank
service.
you for clearing that.
Yeah.
Okay, other questions or comments? All right, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Item C, request that the Orange County Legislature assume lead agency status on an uncoordinated review in compliance with the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SEQR, based on the review of Part 1, 2, and 3 of the Short Environmental Assessment Form, SEAF, along with a negative declaration of this unlisted action with regard to a request to purchase 9 replacements and 3 new vehicles supporting fixed route transit operations in Orange County. Legislative request number 156. Can I get a motion in a second?
Motion.
Marty Leader Paduk and legislator Totel. Go ahead.
Okay, so in this particular legislative request, we are purchasing 9 replacements, as it's mentioned here, and 3 new vehicles for fixed route operations. We offer fixed route service in Newburgh, Middletown, and Kiris Joel. There has been a dramatic increase in ridership in Kiris Joel in particular, but as well with Newburgh and Middletown. So the 9 replacements are to replace the vehicles that have exceeded their useful life. And then the 3 additional new vehicles are really to help meet the needs of the growing demand on services. If you recall, in this particular case, we have $7.2 million allocated using CARES funding. And this is a case where we received permission from the state and FTA to take $7.2 million that was set aside for operating and to convert that for capital expenditures, because we had funding that was set to expire under CARES. So with that, we were able to purchase these new buses with CARES funding and using 100% federal dollars and no local match, meaning no county match is required on these.
Okay, questions or comments? Legislator Menuda?
Thank you. So we heard about busing and transit throughout the county. Are these new buses going to help in that effort?
They will, yeah. The 3 new buses are really going to help fill a gap in the availability of buses. And we have, if you recall, we completed a Middletown area transit redesign study that was done 2 years ago. We completed Newburgh study last year. Each of those studies will result in the need for even additional vehicles. So we already have funding lining up to purchase those vehicles, because we'll be expanding to meet the needs of the communities, the hours of operations, and also extending the hours on weekends so that people can get to or from work or to shopping at the local supermarkets, or to get to doctor's appointments. So with this additional buses, we'll be able to improve the service to the communities.
Thank you, Commissioner, because we heard from the public one of our meetings, May meetings, and I guess we have been working on that process all along.
Oh, yeah. We've Newburgh in Middletown, that's kind of the first step, is to do these transit system redesign studies. And there's a very large public participation process that's part of that. We had a lot of outreach, and with the procurement of buses, it is a lengthy process. So, first step's getting the funding in place. Then I wish it was as easy as us, then issuing a purchase order and go down to the bus dealership and picking up a bus. But believe it or not, every single one of these buses has to be ordered and built to spec. So each one of these buses, we work with our consultant. They come up with very detailed specifications for each bus. Now, some of them will be very similar. So like in Newburgh and Middletown, we generally run, it's a bus company, Gillig buses. So when you see those fixed route buses going along, that look. But even though they may look identical, some of them have different standards. They all have to be ADA compliant. We're looking at upgrading equipment to make it easier for the rider. So all of that kind of goes into the bid specification for the bus, and then they're literally built at the factory individually based on the order. So
Right. So thank you. So I guess our constituents who express concerns can know that the County of Orange has been working diligently to do this work. And, they may have expressed their concerns the other night, but it's been ongoing.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of time and effort that goes into this. I had a fabulous team with the planning department, Transit Orange. And trust me, it's on all of our minds. We want to be able to get these buses and get them into service as soon as possible.
Thank you, Commissioner, for all your hard work. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Majority Leader Benton.
Yes, thank you, sir. But these Newburgh and Middletown buses, they're gonna stay basically kind of within the city or just barely surrounding parts of town, Windsor and town of Newburgh. They're not gonna be a county route from Newburgh to Goshen and then to Middletown.
No,
So I
So-
think that, the people, will have better service in their own municipality, but they're not gonna be able to come on a field trip to the legislature.
Not straight anyway, right?
Right.
So is that true?
no, that is true. So the Middletown route, to give you an example, I mean, it does cover the city of Middletown, but also significant areas of the town of Wallkill.
Right.
Wallkill, New Hampton, but
Yeah,
close.
and then the Newburgh route, does cover, large portions of course, the town of Newburgh outside of the city, but also New Windsor. And
Where the
so,
malls and stores are.
yes, yeah, and even,
doctors.
even goes down to the Five Corners, Vale's Gate. So it extends in that area. As we develop these routes, especially with a fixed route, you need to have, you need population density, and then you need frequency of demand for the service. So, the ability to provide a one-seat ride, from Newburgh to any municipality in the county is very difficult because you don't have the population density to really support that. So that's something we have to factor in. We're always looking for, one thing that we are exploring is the concept of microtransit. It's almost like an on-demand dollar ride, if you will. So that's something that we're exploring to see if there are gaps in service that we might be able to fit. That's probably the best new strategy out there in public transportation planning to address that niche. But I always use the example of when I was doing my internship in Yonkers, I was actually living in Coney Island. So I had to get from Coney Island up to Yonkers. There was not a one-seat ride, nor was a one-seat ride across the city, because I had to take the Q train to the L train to the N train to Grand Central, and that's the most densely populated city.
Right, we're talking about areas of dense population. We're not talking about suburbs.
Yeah. So I do think for the infrequent trips to in between areas within Orange County, I think it's probably best met with a micro transit or dial-a-ride service.
Okay, so it's just fair to say that this is for Newburgh regional area, Middletown regional area, including like you said, New Hampton, Wallkill,
Yeah.
Newburgh, New Windsor, where the malls are in the town
And Curious
and
Joel.
such. Yeah, so
And they have, actually,
that's fine.
they're the perfect example of density. Like if you're gonna run a robust transit system, they're able to do it because they have the population density. So.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Legislator Tortel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Building on the micro transits and also where you're talking about the density and the demand. To me, there's been, especially in Southern Orange County, my district, Cornwall is going to be in my district. I'm sure Kevin will chime in on this. There's one stop on our transit route in Cornwall, in front of the Cornwall Hospital. That's it. Town of Highlands, nothing. So there are places where there is a dearth and they're like, oh, well, you have Uber. And no, we don't. We do not. They have it for the cadets to take them. They come over from Garrison and we'll take them to the train station. But there's nothing for the people who live there, other than the senior citizens who can take Dial-A-Ride within town if they call 24 hours in advance. And that isn't always running. So have you done, or when was the last study that you did in this microtransit frame of mind, or in the frame of mind of expanding our bus service to similar to something like the B line in Westchester? Because there are pockets of Westchester that are not as population density.
Yeah.
But they have service in those areas. So when, is there funding available for a study such as this? When was our last study done? Can we look at this again? Because, I mean, I've been saying it since I've been in the legislature. I've been saying it since I was on the town board.
Okay.
In town of Highlands, that there's nothing there. It's you know, a desert as far as transportation is concerned.
That is, no, I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. And this is something that we can definitely study further. Each year we have our Unified Planning Work Program. So that's the dollars that we use to conduct these studies with. We do have funding set aside in our most recent Unified Planning Work Program for a countywide transit feasibility study. We have a significant amount of funding in there. It'll probably won't be till like towards the end of the year before we're able to get that study off the ground. We just have a number of studies in front of it, but that's one of the purposes of that study, is to kind of look at our system in its entirety and then see where there's gaps and where we might, how best to serve those gaps.
Yeah, if you're looking for input on the individual areas, I suggest that you include the legislators who represent those areas, because we hear from our constituents more than you will hear from our constituents about the lack of services or availability of services from the county within that particular area.
Okay.
Maybe even if you came up with a form for us to fill out and submit to your study and to your group.
Okay, no, I appreciate that. I think that could be very valuable.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Legislator Tui.
Thanks, Chairman. Commissioner, with the, is this the Transit Orange buses? The two, that you see them?
Yes, yeah, when you see the TO, it's Transit
Yeah,
Orange.
Transit Orange, and all of these fixed routes, that they're provided free of charge, right now?
Newburgh, yes.
Yeah,
Only I thought it was Newburgh, Middletown, and somewhere else.
we're providing Newburgh and Middletown are, those are being covered
Who covers
to the
that?
end of the year. Well,
Federal money, or?
Well, the majority of it is state operating assistance, so STOA, and then the county's actually providing the gap for this through December of this year. And let's see
Okay, so it's just Newburgh and Middletown?
Yeah.
Get covered?
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Maybe we can start using MTA taxes that we pay for this.
All right. I think that was rhetorical.
So I said after.
Okay, Department of Public Works, Engineering Division, Commissioner Denenga and Deputy Commissioner McGuire. First, we have a request to create one maintenance electrician grade 9 position. Funding to come from vacant maintenance mechanic supervisor, grade 12 position,
which will be defunded. Legislative request number 162. Could I get a motion in a second? Okay, Tortel and Menuda. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Thank you. I've got Brian with me now, just for this item. Brian, come up. This one passed the P&C committee last week. The position is geared to be assigned to the public safety campus, the jail, the emergency management EOC, and the new medical examiner's office. There's currently no dedicated electrician for that campus, so this would cover that void. The volume of work has also increased, obviously based on the fact we have a new medical examiner's building there now, so it requires more maintenance. And if this position will be required to get the electrical license within 1 year of coming in, which helps us get people in. We give them that year to do it. HR has attached a letter that's in the backup that recommends the position and also recommends it starts at a step 4 with the salary, given the given markets.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Legislator Menuda.
So this person will be responsible for the solar arrays and all the other electronics that happen at the campus?
Did they cover that?
Yeah, they would cover that to a certain extent. If there's troubleshooting or something that happened with that, yes.
Okay. And the medical examiners, that whole facility is going to be warranted for 1 year. So when was the official opening of that?
The December 8th or something, I think.
Okay, so we should be good until December. So this will ramp you guys up to have somebody available when that expires.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How many maintenance electricians do we actually have?
We have 2 on staff right now.
They cover everything
the
else?
government center, they cover everything else, and we have none up at the emergency services center. There was an electrician up there that graduated, that retired in, he retired in August. Yes,
So we only have 2 for the whole county.
yes.
I guess it could be 0.
Yeah, and this is giving up another position too, so we're actually going to be saving a little bit of money with this switch here. So,
Other questions or comments? All right. Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Right. We're switching. Okay. Next, we have a request supplemental appropriation to the capital projects budget for county road improvements. This project has been approved under the 2025 capital plan as proposed project number 34. Upon approval, a new capital project will be created. This project has been determined to be a type 2 action under seeker as defined in section 617.5 C1, 2, 5, 22, 23, 27. $300,000 bonding legislative request number 168. Could I get a motion?
moved.
Second.
Legislator Menuda and Legislator Benelli. Go ahead, Commissioner.
All right, this is an annual ask. We previously we've merged our roadside safety and our site distance improvements and intersection improvement line items, kind of bring it all into one for county roads improvements. There's a little bit more flexibility, but also allows us to react quickly to resident complaints, issues that come up anywhere on our roads, storm damage, things like that, that we need to have money for very quickly, site distance improvements, things like that. We do have a project specifically geared for this money as well, County Road 105, the Spring Street intersection, which is over in town Monroe. That's just near, kind of near intersection with 17, there's a Y intersection there. As you come from KJ towards over the 17 and come towards Monroe, there's a Y intersection with a daycare, I think, on the left. That intersection would be geared for some type of improvements there, if you're familiar with that from this fund. Otherwise, it's basically on-call fund money that we put in very good use, and we use this quite often during the course of the year.
Legislator Tui.
Eric, the, on that triangle you're referencing, I know a few years back, they put some turning lanes and things like that. Are you doing anything with the traffic flow there, or just doing something with the?
So Brian can give you some detail. Right now, for now, it sounds like it's going to be some improved signalization.
Okay. Not a roundabout or anything, or no?
No, but we did talk about that this morning, but as
Come on.
something to think about in the future, but for now, I think more of an immediate, quicker fix would be to put some more automation into the lighting system.
Thank you, Chairman.
Already to do.
Thank you. Ryan, I know we talked about Goshen Turnpike a bunch. There's been nothing done there on the manhole.
Yeah, I rode through there the other day and I did.
You hit any of them?
follow up with that. I usually know how to avoid them.
So that's the whole issue, because when people swerve like that, some swerve to the other lane,
Right.
some swerve to that way, so I think there's 32 of them from Route 211 to Rummel Road.
Yeah, and I think the paving crew has been getting ready for some of our bigger paving projects, so they haven't been able to get there, but I will remind the highway superintendent.
Whose sewer system is that?
Time to walk.
They work with the town of Walker, but they've done it before.
Yeah, so that, we had the same problem in the winter, where you gotta deal with the local and the other to get them raised before they can pave.
Right, the biggest concern here is that there's a lot of apartment buildings on that street, and there's kids lined up, and people swerving in the wintertime, I've seen them swerve and slide, and a lot of people could get hurt there, so they addressed it that year, and then, eventually the blacktop comes out, or nobody's repairing it, and then it's in the same situation, so just wanted to bring it up again.
What location is that again?
The manholes or the,
Manholes.
it's on Tunnel Walk Hill, Goshen 211 and Plummer Road.
It's County 47.
Legislator Tortel.
Thanks, Sharon. How much of the 300,000 is going to be dedicated to that project for the signal over there?
The signal, we believe about 50 to 60,000, but we haven't fully designed it yet, so.
Yeah, okay. So this is part of the design money as well as the,
Yeah, we're gonna do some design with our in-house engineers and if
Okay,
we need
good.
some supplemental consultation that would be done through this as well.
and I agree, a circle might be, as much as I hate circles and I near several of them,
Yeah,
some of them infamous within the county,
yeah.
but it might be a better option there.
Yeah, we were looking at the map today, and when you look down on it, it almost looks like, circle would
Yeah.
fit well. But you think about doing those improvements while trying to keep traffic flowing, it's bigger, has to be very well planned out.
Oh, yeah.
And we'd have to take a look at it from a traffic study standpoint to see if it is suitable or not. But it does kind of pop out on the page, looking like it would be appropriate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Legislator Tui.
Thanks, Jim. Just gonna back up for a second, and I know we're on a different topic, but since it was brought up regarding manholes, I know probably about 5 years ago, they did them along County Road 5, Lakes Road, Monroe. And how long does that last? Because it seems that it was good, and now 5 years later, do they settle in, or do they, is there anything that?
So the pavement around the manholes are settling? is what you're saying?
Whatever you did the last time. Now it seems that you're not right up, if you're gonna swerve or somebody's coming and you hit, it, it's a big thud again.
Mhm.
And they had been taken care of. And I'm just wondering, is that a time issue or, over time they will settle or something?
It could be. I mean, otherwise the manholes generally aren't going to be moving.
No.
But usually the more rigid part of it, right? The pavement's going to be settling around.
Okay, I'll
constantly.
get together with you guys.
So yeah, it might be good to take a look out in the field and see what it looks like.
Thank you.
Just, to stay on that for a minute. So when, they usually just fill the manhole covers with blacktop. So if they have to access them, they could. Some of them could use extension rings, I think, to make it more level with the roads there. And I think I mentioned that before, and I guess some of them there's a lot of work to put an extension on it. I don't know why that would be. but-
There's a number of different solutions, depends on how the manhole was constructed, if it's precast concrete or if it was a block, like a hand-built block manhole. A lot of them have risers that are done with bricks and mortar, and that's usually what breaks down from the salts and road salts and things like that. It's a very individual type of treatment, which type of manhole it is and how you fix the settling.
So I mean, working with the towns, they should know that, right? I mean, I would think they know, the DPW department should know.
Well, it depends on the county road, right, or municipal road.
Yeah, but if their infrastructure's in it, that's why they work with the county, because they're responsible for the manholes, right? I mean, their manhole.
Correct.
It's a coordinated effort.
Yeah,
though.
the coordinated
When we
effort.
did it in New Windsor, what they ended up doing is they couldn't get to it in time, so they ended up milling around those they laid the pavement and then they milled around it to get somewhat level evenness, so you're not just going onto the mill.
Yeah, I'm just talking about it because it's a safety issue for all of us.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing, I'm saying it's just a different way they did it.
Thank you.
Majority Leader Ben?
I knew that sounded familiar when you talked about where this is. So are you gonna have to come back to us to approve the plan, or you,
The manholes you referred to?
no, with the Spring
The
Street
intersection, the Y
and
intersection?
the triangle by the park there and such?
For the signal lights, no, but if we were to do something like a traffic circle or something like that, yes, we would come back with, as a capital project.
Okay, but I mean, so in other words, if you had to do such renovations as removing the triangle and making something a T and,
Yeah,
something
we would,
else
I think
through-
we would likely come back as a specific project for that.
okay, just want to make sure.
You agree with that?
Yeah.
It's actually gonna be more than the money that's in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's what I'm getting at.
Yes, correct. And like I said, if we were to take that step, we'd have to thoroughly evaluate that.
Yeah,
with
because it'd be a pretty small
traffic flow standpoint.
circle.
Yeah.
Would be.
Right,
be
you
pretty
gotta see,
small
if we
for
have
us.
the land to do it, if you have the radius there, truck traffic, things like that, that can move around it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Item C, request supplemental appropriation of the capital projects budget for preliminary engineering and design of Belleville Bridge replacement. DIN 3345200 in the town of Warwick. This project has been approved under the 2025 capital plan as proposed capital project number 50. Upon approval, a new capital project will be created. This project has been determined to be a type 2 action under seeker as defined under NYCRR Part 617.5C2. $123,000 bonding legislative request number 169. Can I get a motion on the second, please? Slater, Menuda, and Tortel. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner.
This is for bridge replacement of existing bridge, type 2 under seeker, for preliminary engineering and design only. This is Skate Schoolhouse Road, town of Warwick, near the old prison, 38-foot span, built in 1945, at a rating of 4.3 out of 7. We'll get this done. We're doing this in-house or with the,
This is all in-house engineering and construction.
pretty straightforward. We'll be back again for construction money once we get this going.
Questions or comments, legislative?
Just for the rest of us, 4.3 out of 7 means what?
It needs to be replaced very soon. Ryan can translate that a little bit more.
It's between serious and minor deterioration. And once it hits in the 3s, that means it's not functioning.
Got it.
I'm rated a 3.5 today.
Thank you. Timing on this whole project, when do you think you'd be actually?
This is
Doing the
preliminary
replacement.
engineering, so as we get into the design later this year, it's probably in 2027, 2028 timeframe.
Okay, so which is, I guess right now, I believe state DOT is looking at 2027 or 2028 for the bridge over Longhouse Creek right there in Belleville on 17A. So
Okay,
just so
coordinate all.
we're coordinating that because that's going to be a pretty significant detour. All right, any other questions or comments? See, in the 2025 capital plan, upon approval, a new capital project will be created. This project has been determined to be a type 2 action under seeker as defined under NYCRR Part 617.5C2. $91,000 bonding legislative request number 170. Can I get a motion?
So
Please, Legislator Duda, Legislator Tortel. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Very similar to the last bridge. This is a type 2 proposed bridge replacement, town of Greenville, engineering only. This is Logtown Road over Rutgers Creek, 28-foot span, 15-ton road posting. built in 1939, this one has a lower rating, 3.25. So it's getting very close, needs replacement very soon.
Questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item E, request supplemental appropriation for the capital projects budget for preliminary engineering and design of Never Sink Bridge rehabilitation, BIN 3344540 in the town of Deer Park. This is proposed capital project number 57 in the 2025 capital plan. Upon approval, a new capital project will be created. This project has been determined to be a type 2 action under seeker as defined by NYCRR Part 617.5C, $53,000 bonding legislative request number 171. So Legislator Tuttle and Legislator Maduro. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Okay, very similar to the last two, with the exception that this is a proposed rehabilitation, not a replacement project. The bridge rating on this one is 5.85, so not as low as the previous two that we just spoke about. So there's a plan here to try to rehabilitate this bridge. It's in the town of Deer Park, over County Route 80 and Never Sink River. It's a 415-foot span. About 415. About 2,000 vehicles a day, built in 1967. And this one you thought in-house?
This, yeah, it's gonna be in-house design, but we're hiring a contractor.
Do the work.
And it was over County Route.
It's County Route 80.
80.
Any questions or comments? Doesn't need a pen.
Just a general question, as you're grading a bridge and you're looking at it, I mean, it can look rusty as hell, but still be strong. How do they gauge the strength factor? Obviously, I mean, it's gotta be half-inch high beams and such like that. It may look terrible, but still be strong. How is rust corrosion graded?
So I could talk about this for quite some time, and Deb, if you want to give me a call, but DOT does buy-in. Yeah, and they will knock off any of the loose rust and measure the thickness with various precision instruments and determine what the actual thickness of the beam is.
Yeah.
And that would degrade it to a lower quality beam, which would reduce the weight rating.
And if they've already knocked it off once in a study a couple of years ago, and they keep knocking it off until it gets bad.
Correct. It's progressive.
Thank you.
Sure. Other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So carried. All right. We're switching players
Switching.
now.
Yeah.
Moving on to environmental facilities and services. Mr. Gray's going to join us.
Good afternoon.
Item A. Request to confirm all tipping rate modifications charged at Orange County-owned solid waste disposal facilities for all applicable waste streams and amending all past resolutions setting previous rates by increasing yard waste tipping fee from $50 per ton to $65 a ton to bring this more in line with surrounding businesses. Legislative request number 158. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Please, Legislator Tui, in a second. I'll second. Okay, go ahead.
I think this one's pretty self-explanatory. We're just trying to keep up on where the prices are in the industry and in the area to make sure we're bringing in the appropriate amount of revenue for our waste stream.
Legislator Tuttle.
Okay, sure. Do you have a list of comparisons for what's in the area that you can provide to
I
us?
do.
Yeah. I'd be
They
interested
go
to-
from a high of $105 in Rockland County.
Rockland's 105?
Ulster is at 40. There's a local recycling company in Montgomery, they're $75. So this will put us right in the middle where we want to be.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Majority Leader Benton.
I'll be abstaining, please.
Thank you. Legislator Menuda.
So help me understand why we would increase $15 a ton on this. Is this due to our maintenance costs, or is this just being competitive where more people dump on our in our facility than others? Or what's the justification for such an increase?
Well, a little bit of all of that. I mean, we need to, and we do operate the transfer stations at somewhat of a deficit. There's funding needed at the end of the year to compensate for any shortfalls. So this is part of that effort to get us up where it's not almost paying for itself. But, it just seems it's, we're on the low end of the spectrum, and we should be in the middle somewhere. We don't want to be the highest, we don't want to be the lowest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed?
One
Carried.
extension.
Oh, one abstention, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Next, we have request supplemental appropriation for the increase in the amount of capital project number 912 from $490,000 to the estimated maximum cost of $700,000 for the acquisition of various equipment for Orange County transfer stations, including $210,000 expected to be received from state grant sources, and authorizing the issuance of an additional bond for $105,000 to be added to the original bond of $385,000 for a total of $490,000 for the county to finance the balance of said appropriation. The requested increase is to cover the cost of a higher estimate received for the purchase of a trauma screen, $105,000. Bonding legislative request number 160. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Legislator Taylor. Legislator Reardon. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
This piece of equipment handles the composting pile, basically filters out the larger chunks of material, makes the resulting material more usable. Eventually, the idea is to start selling the material back to bring in revenue for the composted material sold into the public and contractors. This is a cylindrical, I think there was an attachment, a cut sheet attached to the backup. It's a large sort of cylindrical screen, like a tumbling screen, and material goes in it, and it rolls out, and big chunks roll out the end, and then the good stuff kind of falls through into the containers, where it can be processed for use eventually. It also makes it safer.
Questions or comments? Majority Leader Beck?
We obviously have an operator that's gonna load it with the wheel loader.
Sure.
So Hayes gonna pay for bid? Hayes gonna help pay for bid?
In a sense, yeah.
Thanks.
The other thing I could add is we do provide compost and mulch to, especially the Parks Department, but other departments in the county.
And those things make great products,
Nice use of resource.
fantastic products.
Very good. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye? Aye. Any opposed? Carried. Item C, request supplemental appropriation to the EFNS sewer budget to pay the Village of Kiryas Joel as per the settlement agreement dated January 15th, 2025 between the Orange County Sewer District and the Village of Kiryas Joel. Funding for this to come from appropriated surplus $890,120. Legislative request number 159. Can I get a motion? Second, Leader Benelli and Majority Leader Beck. Okay, go ahead, Commissioner.
I asked Rick Olin to help join on this effort to explain this.
Thank you.
So, the sewer district, rents capacity from the KJ facility, sewage treatment facility. And there started becoming a situation where not the entire amount that we're leasing was being made available. So we could only get more limited capacity out of that. So as sort of a self-help and to incentivize the Village of Curious Joel to go ahead and make the necessary improvements to go ahead and make sure that we're getting full capacity out of that. We started withholding that portion of the rents that equated to the decreased, diminished capacity that we were leasing. We thought that that would then push them to go ahead and make some changes. They didn't make the changes right away. So over the course of 4 years, we withheld $890,120. Then, in response, ultimately, they made those changes, and we entered into a settlement agreement. Collected with that, or associated with that, is that somewhat remarkably, the town of Palm Tree decided to withhold tax payments that they collected and did not forward them to the county on the same rate that we were withholding lease payments. Of course, one has nothing to do with the other. We instituted an action by Commissioner of Finance, Gary Gallagher, against the assessor for the town of Palm Tree. The only way to recover that, so we sued him personally to go ahead and return those monies that got their attention. We ended up suing for years 2020 to 2024. And ultimately, the parties agreed to settle both matters, in which they would pay to the county those tax monies that they withheld with interest, and that amounted to $981,028. And if you look on page 3 of the settlement agreement, the draft of the settlement agreement really is on page 3, paragraph 2 and 3. One says payments to the village, and the other says payments. That should be part of the packet.
Yes.
So, number 3 is what I was just referencing, is that they were withholding monies. We added interest on that because those are monies to the general county. It had actually nothing to do with sewer district or the withholding of rents. And so the amount that they failed to pay plus interest amounted to $981,028.21. And that amount, as a result of this settlement agreement, was paid on February 26, 2025. We are to pay, corresponding to the sewer district is to pay the $890,120 that we withheld in rental payments. We are not adding interest onto that. We're just returning the rental payments that we didn't get. The county was not really damaged from a monetary point of view for having less capacity available, because, and correct me if I'm wrong, the capacity that we would have otherwise used gets funneled down to the Harriman treatment plant and gets treated anyway. So it wasn't like we had any additional expenses by having it trucked out or having it sent to another treatment facility or anything. So we returned the money that we withheld in grants. It's now back to at or very close to capacity. And they returned, the town of Palm Tree has returned with interest the money that they withheld. And so we're asking for money from the county to reimburse the sewer district, so the sewer district can pay the village for the monies withheld, the $890,120.
Questions or comments? Legislator Menuda. So we withheld money for a service that wasn't being provided?
Correct. We were leasing, I don't know what the numbers are.
We lease almost 1 million gallons per day, 970,000.
So whether we use it or not, we have to pay for it.
And the annual payment
Yeah,
is
Is that accurate?
We leased that much. When we started getting less capacity out of that, we withheld that proportional change. So if they were giving us 90%, we withheld 10% of the rental money. But as far as damage to the county, we weren't really being damaged on a monetary amount, because that flow, that added 10% as a hypothetical, would be funneled down to how much sewer treatment plant, and treated in the ordinary course.
And we operate both plants, even though we don't own the KJ plant, we pay to, we operate it.
Yes.
So any operating expenses fall to the district regardless.
Part of Orange County Sewer District number one.
So you could argue that maybe more sewage had to be treated down at the Harriman plant. However, it goes back from the same pond, whether it's treated in KJ plant.
So
or
it's
Harriman
part
plant.
of the sewer district's
just-
overall treatment of all the necessary sewer capacity. Most of it is done by the Harriman Sewer Treatment Plant, but some of it is done by a plant owned by KJ, but leased fully by us since 2000.
So if our capacity is being used up, theoretically, they're making money on that, whoever is using that, and then that money goes.
No.
No?
No, first of all,
Okay.
we're the only one that, well, we lease a certain capacity out of that 0.9.
I guess I'm not understanding the capacity portion of this.
Okay, so our Harriman Sewer Treatment Plant has a Speedy's limit as to how much that can treat. We actually have more than that we need. So since 2000, we started leasing a plant with a separate wastewater treatment plant from the village of Curious Joel. That outfall goes to a different spot other than the Harriman Sewer Treatment Plant. It goes north, a little bit north on the Ramapo River. It still goes into the Ramapo River, but a little bit north than the Harriman Sewer Treatment Plant outfall into the Ramapo River. So collectively, we need both of those plants to satisfy the demand within the Orange County Sewer District number one.
Yep, correct. And there's a splitter as a sewage flow comes down the approach to KJ plant, comes to a pump station, and either gets diverted to the KJ plant or it gets, the overflow will go to Harriman. So it can't be handled, the KJ goes down to Harriman. So that's
And
kind
there's
of,
two different
intertwined there.
districts.
Yes,
After it's treated.
Before it's
before it's treated, then it's treated, there are two discharges.
So both plants are treating it. We're not taking one and then it's being processed down the line to the other
No.
again.
No,
No.
Thank you. That clarifies. the point. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments on legislative two?
With, when we stopped the payments, and we weren't getting that capacity that we had leased, was that due to repairs or lack of repairs?
more or less, yes. They needed physical improvements to be made to get it back up to capacity.
And so those have all been completed,
Yes,
so we're back up to what we should be. getting.
more or less up to the full capacity.
And then,
It's nearly there.
since we lease it, we were responsible to fix it too, or?
No, the owner of the
The owner
facility,
fixed
KJ,
it.
was responsible for that.
Okay, so they took care of it.
This was part of the process of trying to get them to do that.
Great. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes.
Thanks.
Legislative Tautel.
Just refresh my memory, when did we start operating that again? When did we take over that?
2000.
2000. It was 2000, I couldn't remember if it was 2000 or 2002. And
2000.
the majority before that splitter of the waste that goes there is from town, the village of Curacao and Palm Tree, correct, which is part of sewer district number one.
Correct.
So we're not diverting,
Wait,
we don't
just a
have-
second before you go on,
huh?
because you lumped together Village of Curious Joel, Town of Palm Tree. So Town of Palm is not within the sewer district.
Okay. Town of
But-
Palm,
but
that's
Curious
correct,
Joel.
I'm sorry, forgive me. So we don't have anybody else from north or west of there, any of that coming into there, that's all coming down towards,
Within the district.
within the district, coming down towards the main plant at Harriman.
Well, it goes to two places. It either goes to the Curious Joel plant or it goes to the main
Har-
plant, one or
right.
the other.
Right,
That's split.
Yeah, I know
Where
it's
it comes
split.
into a pump station, it splits flow either way
Alright.
before it's treated.
thank you.
Other questions or comments? Majority leader.
Benton.
The poultry plant goes to the KJ plant?
Directly, yeah.
That's the only direct connection to the plant, by gravity.
Right, that's
Everything
what I
else
thought.
that goes to the KJ
That-
plant is pumped.
Right. And so that means the poultry plant isn't part of the split
Correct.
Right.
Correct. There's a
Yep.
portion of that flow going to the KJ plant that cannot go to Harriman.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? I do have one. So just for clarification, the funds that we're approving, the 890,120, is going to come from the appropriated surplus of the sewer district?
Leave that to you. I don't know exactly where it's.
Yes, it's on the sewer district.
Yeah.
From the
Sewer
sewer
district.
district. Because the sewer district was basically the one that withheld those funds.
Correct.
Yes, it was.
Okay, just in case there was any misunderstanding there. All right, so any other further questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Next,
We have a request to approve an application to the New York State Comptroller requesting an order consenting to the proposed increase and improvement of the facilities of Orange County Sewer District Number 1 at a cost not to exceed $185 million. Legislative request number 176. Take a
So
motion.
moved.
Second. Slater Benelli and Todd. Go ahead.
Okay, as everybody's aware, Orange County Sewer District is planning an upgrade and expansion of the Harriman Sewage Treatment Plant from 6 to 9 mg. It includes replacing train 1 with a 7 mgd sequencing batch reactor, and then upgrading train 3 to maintain 2 mgd. All to meet the regulatory requirements and extend longevity of facilities and increase the capacity. We're currently in design of that. Preliminary estimates are about $185 million. Why we're here tonight is the Part 85 of New York State Comptroller's regulations. Prior to this, we'd gone through the County Law 5A, Section 268 of New York State County Law, all to the map, the preparation of the map plan report, public hearing that we had, and a finding in public interest. The project is in public interest. And that was found by the legislature. The Part 85 of the Comptroller's regulations is an application for permission of the state comptroller. This is due to the fact that it's a special district, so we don't have to go to the comptroller's office to ask them permission to raise the rates by a certain amount, above a certain threshold that requires us to submit an application to them. Part of that, we have to verify the detail and the nature of the proposed improvements, the need for such improvements, the information necessary to calculate the cost of the improvements to the properties that will be paid for it. That's all in the map plan report that has previously been presented to the legislature. Upon receipt, the comptroller then should be able to make a determination that's in the public interest. Not an undue burden, as they're required to do, or as the statute requires them to do. And they will require a certified copy of a resolution of the governing body stating that the attached application was prepared at the direction of the governing body. So basically today, that's what we're doing, is getting direction to submit the application. We previously had direction from the legislature to prepare the application. That application has been prepared. We're now ready to submit that application. And importantly, like I just mentioned before, there is no new information in the application. It is a compilation of the existing information that was presented to the legislature and has been publicly available for many months now. Basically took excerpts of that map plan report, put that into the application for the comptroller's office. We went over at previous meetings that the cost increase to the typical owner. Right now, it was roughly just over $500. Worst case scenario, we think it was around, bring it up by another 500, close to around 1,000 without any grant funds. This process helps us with the grant funds. We need the comptroller's approval to then be eligible for a lot of the grant funding that we're going to pursue. Show them that we have the permission from the comptroller's office, from the state to increase the rates, and that their grants are going to help mitigate those costs.
Legislator too.
yeah, I think, with the amount you just mentioned, the 500 and 1,000, that's twice a year, correct?
I believe yes,
And,
Two bills now.
but I believe that was the annual cost, so.
Yeah.
Total of $1,000 for the year.
total is $1,000 a year, it's billed twice a year.
So,
And that's
so
the worst
roughly,
case.
but
That's the worst
I
case.
believe it was $1,000 total for the year. If it's billed twice a year, you'd be billed roughly $500.
Yeah,
Just to make sure.
compared to about 300 now, but almost.
Yeah, 250, 300 now, right, correct, yeah,
And,
per payment.
and 1,000 higher number is worst case scenario, if we didn't get any.
If we didn't get any of the funding, it would apply, correct.
moved on.
Yeah, there's a certain application due this week. There's another application, I believe, due in July. There's another application that we don't have a deadline for yet. So this is getting all the ducks in a row so we can just start getting those deadlines.
Those applications cover 60 million plus.
I believe the maximum amount was $60 million in grant funds. Yes, I think that's right. That's,
Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions or comments? Minority Leader Padu?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think at one of the meetings, I asked a question regarding, this is all from the sewer district plus the grants, right? Plus the users that are outside the limits of the sewer district that use it, right?
correct.
They're part of it.
Yeah, they've been included in the calculations in the applications that come through.
Other questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor, aye. Any opposed? Carried. And
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
desk is clear, so at this time I'd entertain a motion to
So moved.
adjourn. Bell, legislative Menuda, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? So carried. Meeting adjourned.